welcome to Frostbytes, a gaming podcast. I am Cassie Mann, here with my co-host, Spencer McPhee.
Hiya.
How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. It's June. You know what that means?
Pride?
It is also Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to everybody that celebrates. And if you don't, you're not welcome here. Whoa, just kidding.
Shit.
I mean, not really. Anyways, moving on. June is the release of the Switch 2. It's here.
It's here.
In the flesh.
It's real.
I don't have one. But Spencer does.
Ta-da.
Look at that.
Hi. If you're just listening to the pod, I guess this might be a little bit more of a visual episode, depending.
At least for this first bit.
Yeah. But yeah. I got my hands on a Switch 2. I went to the midnight launch at EB Games. Because GameStop Canada rebranded back to EB Games, by the way.
Crazy.
Which I think, given recent world events, there has been, I think, a boost in Canadian nationalism.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think the rebrand back to EB Games is one of several pushes towards being more Canadian.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And also GameStop was just going in the toilet.
Yeah. I mean, they got their own stuff going on, and I guess I don't know the whole story. I wasn't really paying attention, but the old CEO, I guess, of GameStop Canada even was being problematic, and then so the new owner of EB Games, the guy who bought it, also owns, I think, McFarlane Toys or something.
Cool.
And so they do a lot of DC figures and stuff. But it is now fully Canadian owned. And
pretty cool.
Yeah, great.
I saw them putting the EB Games sign up in Toronto, on the
Yeah.
Is it on Queen Street or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, on the Toronto main GameStop store, putting the EB Games sign up right before the Switch 2 midnight launch. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool. So there's lots of stuff to talk about today besides the Switch 2 as well. We had Summer Games Fest just happened this past weekend, and there was a State of Play. I completely missed that. I didn't even know that it was happening, but we'll talk about that a bit. And of course, the Switch 2, and then our big
swish
EB Games coming back. We love to see it.
We do. Yeah,
we love to see it.
It feels good.
It does. It was a weird couple of years that it was Switch. We're like, why is it going to GameStop? And then now they're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
We're back to EB Games.
Yeah, we're so back, baby.
So back.
What have you been up to lately?
I've been busy. I got laid off recently. That's a blessing and a curse, maybe. Good, because now I can kind of focus my time on things like this and other stuff, but busy with gigs and still got work to do. So that's good. But yeah, things are changing, I guess. I recently changed my room around a bit. If you can tell, there's a keyboard behind us now. Crazy, that wasn't there before. What else have I been doing?
Have you been playing anything?
I haven't had a whole lot of time, honestly.
Did you and Shia finish Baldur's Gate?
Yes.
Since last week recorded?
Did we? Oh, yeah. Okay, me and Shia did finish Baldur's Gate. I couldn't remember if that was before or after the last episode, but it must have been after. So we finished Baldur's Gate. That was incredible.
Nice.
Incredible game. And then, just kind of haven't really been doing much since then. I was playing a bit more of Jedi Survivor, which I think I mentioned last episode as well. Haven't had a whole lot of time to dive back into that. But hopefully I'll get back to some gaming again soon.
Nice.
Yeah. Me and Shai are going to pick up Pokemon Let's Go again, I believe.
Nice. Yeah. Pick up
try and finish now that Shia has got Strawberry Milk. Strawberry Milk Cow. We gotta try and finish that together. So that'll be good. What about you?
Well, I'm playing a lot of Mario Kart World in the last couple of days.
Yep.
And then I guess before that, I played this new indie game called Gemporium.
Okay.
I played the demo for it. It's not officially out yet. I think today is June 9th. So I believe Steam Next Fest starts today.
Oh, wow.
So there's going to be a whole bunch of demos for a whole bunch of indie games available for you to try, like, as you're listening to this, which is very exciting. So Gemporium is one of these games. I saw an ad for this game on Instagram, and they opened the video of the game with this game is heavily inspired by the Gen 4 Pokemon Underground, and also like Fossil Fighters for the DS, which is like both two things that basically have like a mechanic where, or like a mini game where you can dig for either gems or fossils or whatever, right? And then so this game, Gemporium, it kind of has 3 phases. Phase 1 is you go down into the mine, you'll see a star in the wall, and then you can dig in that space for some gems. Okay, so you have like a hammer, and you have to like dig around, and then once you find the gem, you have to be very careful not to use your hammer directly on the gem. You want to dig sort of around it, so you don't crack the gem while you're digging. Okay, so then you get the gem, and you do that for as long as you have bag space. So then you go back up to your house, and then you have to refine your gems. So that means you have to do this like timing-based minigame to like remove the debris and rocks and stuff away from the gems. And then you do one other thing where you polish the dirt off of the gem, and then it's like nice and shiny finally.
Nice.
And then you run a gem store called the Gemporium.
Nice.
So then the 3rd phase of the game is then selling your gems. And you have different customers who have a gem that they want and a gem that they super don't want. So based on the amount of gems that you have like gathered and that you have in your inventory, that's sort of like what you have to work with when you're selling to your customers. And it's pretty simple, the selling aspect of it. The selling aspect kind of just boils down to, if you have a gem that a customer wants, right, you make like double the money for that gem. If you don't have a gem that they want, then you just kind of got to sell them something, and it can be, as long as it isn't something that they don't want,
right,
then it's kind of whatever. So yeah, that I think is like maybe the simplest aspect of the game. And then once you finish selling, you close your store, and then that's your day. And then you go to bed, and then you
do it again.
Do it all again the next day.
Go dig for gems.
And a day in game takes like 5 minutes, right? So you do all 3 phases like within like 5 minutes or so, right? So it's very fast paced. The game feels very snappy to play. And the thing that you spend your money on from running the shop is there are several upgrades that you can buy. So whether that's like simple things like just more bag space, or additional tools to help digging for gems, make that easier. Other upgrades, there's one upgrade that you can buy where you can haggle with customers to try to get a bit more money for gems than you otherwise would. So the demo is very promising. It's just obviously because it's a demo, it was a little light on stuff. Yeah, but it's a demo, so that makes sense. But within the demo itself, I had collected, other than gems, you can also dig up what they call artifacts. And some of the artifacts in the game are like, without, having the actual, without needing the license, I guess, for these things, they have a cell phone that looks suspiciously like a Nokia flip phone. Or one of my favorites actually was an opened package of Nintendo DS styluses, right? Because this is such like the inspirations for this game are like DS games, and so a bunch of the artifacts that you can dig up in the mines. It's sort of like Pikmin. Like in Pikmin, you can find like real world objects, right? And so it felt kind of similar to that, at least. But yeah, it's really cute, really cute.
It sounds really
well drawn. Nice music. I think the thing that I'm interested to see once I like buy the full game and then see what else it has to offer, I'm just interested to see like how it scales, basically, because by the time I got to the end of the demo, I was like, okay, this is repetitive. It is a fun loop, but it is repetitive. And so I'm interested to see like what else they add to the game to keep it interesting.
Right.
But so far so good. So check out Gemporium. I had a great time playing it, and there was a demo available for it already. There's now a new demo released for Steam Next Fest. So
Sweet.
give that a look.
Well, there you go.
But otherwise, a lot of Mario Kart World.
Yeah. So how has that been? That can kind of be our transition into talking about the Switch 2. I mean, well, we'll get to that. How about we backtrack and just start from the beginning? How was your experience with getting the Switch? We almost did a live podcast during the midnight launch.
We thought about it.
But then there just wasn't enough time to get it together and figure out the best way to do it. But
yeah. I think like the actual midnight launch of it all went pretty smoothly. Everyone there was like, very nice, and no one was like trying to cut in line or whatever. Everyone showed up and lined up, and I got there around, I think, 10:30, and I was maybe 50th in line by that point. And then by the end of the night, I don't think I walked out of the mall until like 2:30 in the morning.
Because in Nova Scotia, we couldn't actually get it until 1 a.m.
Yeah. So they let us into the mall like around 11:30 midnight, maybe somewhere in there. And then we were all waiting in line inside. And then one of the employees of EB Games walked down the line of people asking if anyone had a trade-in to do. And I traded in my OG Switch 1 that I got at Best Buy in like 2018. Rest in peace. But it was, just for an upgrade, and I've got the OLED. So anyway, but I was a little sentimental and sad about it. But it's fine.
I feel you.
So they were walking down the line because they were like, we can do transactions before we can actually hand out the system, because they had to wait to hand out the system until 1 a.m. our time. Because I think it released officially at like midnight Eastern time, which is a bit of a bummer for us, but whatever. But
people in the on the West Coast got it at 9 p.m.
Yeah, right. So it was like a simultaneous Western release, I guess, but like people in like Japan and Australia had it, I don't know, 12 hours before we did.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fine. So yeah, I guess because I had brought my Switch 1 to trade in, and I was there with my friend Scott, and he brought his PlayStation 5 to trade in fact, towards it. So both of us got to go into the store early and do the transaction, and then effectively like make sure that we both had a Switch 2 there for us by the time that we got there. We were at a point in line where I think if we hadn't done that, we still would have been fine.
Okay.
But if we were, I think, a little bit further back, I think if I like maybe didn't show up until like 11 p.m., for instance, I might not have gotten one. I think it was close.
Wow.
And so I wonder, like when we left at 2:30 in the morning or whatever, there was still a lot of people there. And like it was a project. I had asked the employees, like, how late are you expected to stay? And they were like 3. And there was a half hour left, and there's still like a lot of people. So I have no idea like what ended up happening, but I'm just curious, I guess, if like there were a bunch of people who got there late, who maybe didn't get a Switch that night, which would be such a bummer.
And you think that would just be because of the staff not working later, or?
Yeah, like they might have.
I mean,
they might have stayed like for as long as they had stock. I don't know, but yeah, because I was like, staff here, like they gotta go to bed at some point.
Of course, absolutely. I was looking on EB Games' website just to see, like, because you can see what the stock is at each store, and like all of the, like just the Switch 2 was out of stock.
Right.
But well, for the most part, at least in Halifax specifically, that was kind of the case. But then they did still have a lot of them still said availability for the bundle.
For the bundle, yeah. I think they received more of the bundle. Yeah, for sure. Even though I overheard a few people in line saying that they didn't want to get the bundle because they still wanted to get a physical version of Mario Kart World, which is so interesting to me to like, just because it was such like Mario Kart for us is I think 110 Canadian, right? To get the game on its own.
Yeah.
So then I think if you got it in the bundle for us, it was $70.
Yeah.
Which was like
You save a significant amount of money.
significant amount of money. I think in the States, Mario Kart is 80, and then if you got it in the bundle, it was 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, just getting the game for less made more sense. And also, I said previously that with the Switch 2, I want to go more the digital route anyway.
Yeah.
But there were still a lot of people that I overheard in line who specifically were like, no, I want to like still keep getting physical cartridges.
That's the same with me too. If I was in the place to get one, I would have wanted to get the physical.
But it's a bummer how much more expensive the physical is.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, I guess if say you got the Switch 2 on its own and then decided to get the digital version in the eShop, you'd still be paying the same.
Yeah. And then you wouldn't even have the physical at that point. But yeah, all things considered, it went smoothly. Shout out to the EB Games employees for doing that and staying up late and being really patient and nice. And everyone else there as well was really patient and nice. So that was good. It was a good experience.
Sweet. I wish I got to go. Sounds like it was fun. I feel like the experience of like when new games launch is like a big reason why I get excited about them and stuff too. So hopefully next time hopefully they'll be doing more midnight launches for like games and stuff now that it's EB Games again. Yeah. I saw that like they are going to try and bring back that almost like community aspect of the company and just like gaming in general instead of it just being let's sell a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, it did feel like a community oriented thing. Although I was there with my friend Scott, and I think if I had been there alone, I might have like talked to some other people in line, but for the most part I kind of just talked to my friend Scott. But there were 3 guys in front of us in line who had brought lawn chairs. I forgot to bring a chair. A chair would have been nice. Anyway, these 3 guys brought lawn chairs and a beach umbrella, which for outside, if like it wasn't raining, but you know, I guess as a just in case. And then once we got inside of the mall, they still set up the chairs and the beach umbrella indoors, which was
hilarious,
very funny. So they were fun they were entertaining if nothing else for us to wait in line behind. Anyway, so I got my Switch home after that, and then the process to get everything transferred over from my Switch 1 to the Switch 2 was very simple. It is, I think, worth noting that the Switch 2 only presents the option for you to do a full system transfer from the 1 to the 2 upon like setup.
Right.
So after you set up your Switch 2, if you choose not to do the system transfer right away, it is a bit more, I guess, manual, and you have to do like things individually if you want to transfer from one to the other. So I think it's just like simpler. Again, if you still have your Switch 1, if you don't trade it in towards the 2, I would definitely do that transfer, I think, upon setup of the 2. But that went smoothly, and yeah, once it was set up, I mean, dude, it is just a Switch, but bigger and better.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of underwhelming in that regard.
Right.
But like we've talked about this before, from like the initial reveal, like, because it isn't like a new idea, it feels maybe less exciting, but it is just the thing that we already like, but better. And like, now that it's in front of me, like, yeah, dude, that's exactly what it is. It is like, it is not, there aren't, other than the mouse thing, which I tried once and I was like, I'm maybe never going to use this again. Yeah. Genuinely, like, it's just this was the Switch Pro, I think. This was the Switch Pro, and then they were like, we'll wait, and then we'll call it a sequel. And yeah, it's like,
and now here we are.
And now here we are, I guess. I don't know. It's like, the first time I was playing it, the first game I played with it, and this is embarrassing, the first game I played with it was Pokemon Scarlet.
I don't think that's embarrassing, because I watched your video that you posted about that, and it was, I mean, you keep going on what you were going to say. But.
Well, I was playing Scarlet, and for what it's worth, the new patch for Scarlet and Violet does make the game run at 60 frames. So Scarlet and Violet is like very smooth to play now. I don't know if the patch fixed any of the bugs in the game, and the textures still look like the textures. So the game runs smooth, which is great, and that's like for stuff like the Terror Raid battles, that's awesome. That is a bad omen or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if they picked that up. Anyway, yeah, Scarlet Violet runs smooth, but still kind of looks the same. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. But
I watched your video that you posted from, like you posted it like really late. Play Scarlet for a bit, went through a Terror Raid battle for Oregon, and it looked really good. Yeah, the textures weren't different, but the quality difference is there. You can tell that it's running smoother. You can tell that it's like, at 4K, whatever. And it looks like if the game launched on the Switch 2, or if we had the Switch 2 earlier when that game came out, people wouldn't be as upset.
Yeah, I think some opinions might change about Scarlet and Violet now. We'll see. But I'll also like, I don't know, the dissonance with the Switch 2 is like, the first time I was playing it, I was like, this is still the same shit.
Right.
Like other than Mario Kart, there isn't a new experience on it. It is the same shit that we've had, and it runs nicer, and maybe in some instances it might look a little better. But I think like it's still got to come down to the games. And so if you don't have this thing yet and you're thinking about it, do you want to play Mario Kart World? Yes or no? Like, don't worry about the system. Do you want to play the new game? No? You can chill. Because it is just more of the same. And I mean, I don't know. And I'm like, it is kind of a hefty price tag to keep doing more of the same.
It is. And that is what I think is holding a lot of people back. And I mean, like, personally, if I could have financially afforded it right now, I would have got it.
Yeah.
But it was just not possible right now, which is fine. Hopefully I'll get one down the road. But yeah, it's like, it's harder for people to become early adopters at this point, I think. Which, I mean, I think we did kind of see with the PlayStation 5 a little bit. I mean, I think the PS5 might have added a bit more. I can't really remember in the time right now because, like, I had a PS4 Slim and then got the PS5 on launch. And, I think that I was probably wrapped up in the hype of it. But I feel like looking back on it, it probably was a similar thing where it was like, oh, this is just the same, but better. And that's just like what people want.
Yeah. Like
maybe slightly underwhelming.
If that's important, if like performance, I guess, is like important to you. And I don't know, not that I think it's just performance for some is maybe less of an issue or less of a priority, again, versus the price tag.
Yeah.
For, again, just more or less the same experiences. Like, I don't mean to downplay the performance upgrades for Scarlet Violet, the Zeldas, Mario, etc., any of that, but you can play those games already. So if you're, I don't know, if you're feeling the FOMO or whatever, I think like
feel the FOMO.
I and maybe, I don't know, maybe this is coming.
I'm gonna play Mario Kart World.
So okay, so there, but that to me is like, okay, you want to experience the new game, not the like, I don't know, beefed up system or whatever. So then to talk about Mario Kart World now, finally, World's really good. Took a little bit to get used to the new drifting and stuff, but once I did, it felt nice.
What's different about that? Or hearing you say that on the stream, because you did a whole what knockout tour, is that what it's called?
Yeah, so there's a new mode, but were you asking what's different about the drift?
Yeah.
It just feels different. Yeah, they just changed like I don't know, the turn radius or whatever for cars, basically. Like the way like when I first started playing World, I was still going into turns as if I was playing 8.
Right.
And then I was often like going off road from that. So then you just adjust and you get used to it eventually. So, but otherwise, like, I guess, general driving things that they've added like rails to the game. So you can grind on rails and those give you like a mini turbo boost, after you jump off of the rails. And then you can do tricks on rails as well to get a boost while you stay on the rail. There's wall riding. So if you can jump and do a trick onto a wall and then you can ride at 90 degrees on any wall in the game. So that's crazy.
It's crazy. That's so wild.
And so to kind of enable that when you're just driving straight, you can hold the drift button. And if you don't turn in a direction, you start to charge basically a drift, but you go straight. And then when you let go, you do a little jump and then you get a mini turbo. So that allows you to jump up onto rails if you need to jump onto rails. Some rails you can just like drive up onto, but they've added a new kind of jump that is this like, I don't know, boost jump, I guess. And that allows you to like get up onto walls and stuff. So there are already in the first few days some crazy looking like speed runs.
I believe it.
And like time trials and stuff. But generally for Grand Prix or the new knockout tours or whatever, you don't like totally need to use all of this new stuff. I think it is like maybe there's some tech in the game that like if you want to make your times like a little bit faster, you can, but it's not like required, I don't think.
Yeah.
You can still drive like old-fashioned Mario Kart and have a pretty good time.
Yeah, I feel like, from playing previous Mario Karts, it probably is similar where it's like, it feels essentially the same,
Yeah.
but then after a while you get used to there being these new features that you can incorporate in. This definitely seems like the biggest jump that we've seen in Mario Kart, maybe, from what I can remember.
Like in
terms of like gameplay, like, I guess, yeah, control.
Yeah, I think they've added little things. For sure, like little details, but you're right, like the base driving more or less just feels the same.
Yeah.
If you've played Mario Kart before, even if you've never played Mario Kart before, I don't know, just like the base driving like feels good. Feels intuitive. So yeah, they've added this new mode called Knockout Tour, and it is a consistent sort of marathon race from one track to the next to the next to the next through like all these. They've added like in between sections because this game is open world, and so they have the free roam mode. But like in these races, there are roads that take you from one actual track to the next. So Knockout Tour includes a lot of that, and every checkpoint, I guess, throughout the race, there's 6 total. Every checkpoint, the bottom 4 places get eliminated.
Okay.
Until eventually the very last section of the race is the final 4. And then you just got to come in first from those final 4. And then you win the whole thing. But yeah, it's effectively kind of like a battle royale-ish mode, which to me is the most engaging part of the game right now, especially having played some online. It's frantic, especially with now 24 people, but
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Knockout Tour is.
It looks cool. Had your stream up and Shy, I was watching. I think it was at the start of a race, but there wasn't like a start line. You all started driving and then it officially starts. Like, what's the deal with that?
It's interesting. It functions the same. It's just like genuinely, it functions the same as if you were just like starting, because everyone's starting in this like sort of like diagonal like sections, I guess.
But it's so like, I guess in that moment, here's I guess a more detailed question. In that moment when you're doing that drive, is everyone's speed like
the same?
Limited?
Yeah.
And the places are all the same. You
Yeah.
can't like get ahead of anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the game is driving automatically for you.
Oh.
And then once it does the countdown, like you can still hold A like after the number 2 to get your early boost.
Yeah.
So yeah, that rolling start functions the same as like a stopped start. But yeah, I think, I don't know, it's just like a new way of framing it. And so anytime you go from on like an in-between road from one track to the next, you have this like rolling start for the races. The roster for the game, like the amount of characters is really fun. I like that they're adding just more Mario characters.
Yeah.
I liked that in 8 like Link was there, Isabelle and Villager, the Squid Kids from Splatoon. Those were very fun. And then because of that, people suspected that the next Mario Kart would be kind of like a Super Smash Kart. I'm glad that they have gone more into the Mario verse and just like a friend of mine was like, they basically said, does it have a model, like a 3D model? Yes, put it on a car. And like arms and legs notwithstanding. Any like cheap the fish, that guy can
Really?
that guy can drive.
My god.
So there's a whole bunch of those characters. They just like slapped them on a bike.
The cow.
The cow is the people love the cow.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's those are a lot of fun. Just like really leaning into, like this is a cartoon racing game. Let the dolphin drive.
Arguably the best one.
Let the dolphin drive a bike that is a dolphin. Let the dolphin drive a dolphin.
Oh gosh.
So that's very fun. So the like tracks proper are very good. They're well designed. They brought a lot of the retro tracks back. Even some of the more recent ones like Sky High Sunday from the Mario Kart 8 booster course. Even I believe was Sky High Sunday in the base game? I don't remember. I think it was from the booster course. But even that has gotten like a remix in this new game. One of my old favorites from Mario Kart Wii, Toad's Factory,
is back Toad's Factory
in the game. I think fan favorite Moo Moo Meadows is back. So there's a bunch of those older tracks, but even the newer ones for sure are very good. My issue then is with the in-between sections. So to enable, and this is also the case for Grand Prix, the Grand Prix also have these in-between sections. So during a Grand Prix, the first lap of a race will be like part of a track. Well, it'll kind of be an in-between section, but let's just say the first lap of a race will be like a lap of a track. And then the second lap will be like an in-between. So that we can just call like a highway or something. That is like often just kind of like a straight, wide road where not a ton happens. I prefer playing a Mario Kart where like there are corners and there are fun jumps and stuff, and the tracks are like tightly designed. So these in-between sections, in contrast, feel like kind of boring, unfortunately. And there's not that there's nothing you can do. Like you can still hold that drift button to do like the straight jump and boost. Right. But when you watch a side-by-side, there's kind of the same speed. Like if you just like hold the gas and go straight, or if you do the jump boost thing, those are the same speed. So there isn't really like a reason to do that. It's, I don't know, it keeps you more engaged, I guess, if you're just going in a straight line, but it doesn't like actually make you go faster. So, okay. So, and then the third lap of that race would be like another track. And so at least like some of the more interesting tracks in recent Mario Kart games have been tracks where there's a beginning and an end and you don't repeat laps, right? I think people at large have like kind of appreciated that change in direction.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Mario Kart 8, like Mount Wario, you start at the top of the mountain and then you get down to the bottom. And
yeah, I do understand ones like that, and like DK Mountain like that too. But I'm not, I don't know, I always did like the lap. Yeah.
Yeah. And the nice thing about having laps is you can, like, during the same race, you can, like, have second chances at corners that maybe you wish you took better, or maybe you see a shortcut and then on your second lap you can, like, try the shortcut.
Exactly.
And so that to me is, like, why laps are fun. Versus, yeah, a lot of these, like, straight line races where you don't repeat sections. Just give you fewer opportunities to learn the tracks, but maybe that also incentivizes, like, I don't know, just doing repeat races of these longer tracks.
Yeah.
And then that maybe increases your game time, and maybe that's intentional given that this is kind of the only new game with the Switch 2, and maybe this is a way to sort of prolong a person's time playing these games. And I'm getting a little
too much psychology.
A little tinfoil hat. Yeah. Anyway, all of that to say, the in-between sections between tracks I find a little boring, depending on the section. Not all of them, just some of them are honestly straight lines. Not my vibe. The actual tracks themselves, they knocked it out of the park. They did such a great job. And then, yeah, the knockout mode in particular is a lot of fun, very engaging. I think the main thing that I'm going to do online now, I've done kind of all of the single player stuff, except for free roam. I haven't really dipped into free roam. My thing with free roam is they don't give you a ton of, like, direction insofar as keeping track of there's 3 different collectibles effectively that you can find during the free roam mode. They don't do a great job of showing you what you found already and also conveying, like, where to find the rest of the stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it is genuinely like a free roam. It is kind of up to you to, like, look for shit and keep track of the shit that you found already. For better or worse.
I'm sure one of these days someone will have a walkthrough guide out with all of the things you can find.
I guarantee it exists already. Yeah, if you really needed to find it, some guide writer spent the first 48 hours of this game being released making a full comprehensive map. Because guide writers make the world go round.
They do.
All that to say, Mario Kart World is a very good Mario Kart game. It's really interesting that this game and Mario Kart 8 exist at the same time on the same system effectively.
Yeah.
I think this is not a replacement for 8. I think there is still value in keeping and playing 8.
Okay.
Because they're different. They're different in enough ways. Similar to, like, I don't know, Mario Party, Jamboree, and maybe Super Mario Party. Right? I think both of them it's valuable to have both of them, I think, because they offer different experiences. But all in all, I'm having a great time with World. But I have kind of, other than, like, again, just, like, kind of doing online stuff for basically forever now, I've kind of run out of single player stuff to do. So what else is there on the Switch 2?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some, I guess, so you only picked up Mario Kart World. You got a bundle?
I got the bundle.
You got the bundle?
Yeah, made Mario Kart cheaper, which was nice.
Cool. And then what else is there? So right now there's Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk released physically. Street Fighter 6 did as well.
There's Breath of the Wild Remaster. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Remaster?
There's Switch 2 versions of both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So those are the launch titles. DK Bonanza comes out in July. So that's, I guess, I don't know, maybe they're hoping that there is enough out now. And also, I guess people's entire Switch catalogs, frankly, to tide them over until DK Bonanza. I think it's interesting because Mario Kart is a game that you can play forever.
Yeah.
Because again, you can play online and just race forever.
And play with friends.
You can play with friends, yeah, like locally for sure. It does sort of rely, I think, as like a single player experience. It does rely on having Switch Online. And I think a lot of early adopters of the Switch 2 probably do also have Switch Online. I think these are like fans of Nintendo who want this thing at launch.
Right.
And probably also the Venn diagram of like people getting the Switch 2 at launch and having Switch Online, I think is just a circle for the most part. But and so because of Switch Online, they've also added the GameCube collection, which added Wind Waker, which is cool, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. So there is stuff to do. There's also the fucking Switch 2 Welcome Tour.
Ugh,
Well, I did not buy that, and I'm not gonna buy
like
that.
$10.
Yeah, it's 10 US, 15 Canadian.
Ugh.
So, but I've seen YouTube videos from people saying like, I got Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, so you didn't have to, you know?
Of course.
That genre
Yeah. Yeah.
of YouTube video. Anyway, so I don't know. I guess if you're desperate for something to do on your Switch 2, you could get Welcome Tour, but like probably don't encourage Nintendo to keep doing stuff like that.
I mean, if you look at like the Switch 1 launch, yeah, I didn't have a Switch for a while. I don't even think I knew about it when it launched, honestly. But if you look at the launch of the Switch 1, what launched with that? Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild is a huge game that
you can sink hundreds.
I think as a single player experience, Breath of the Wild is much, much, much denser than Mario Kart World.
100%.
And like it's a new goddamn Zelda.
This is true. Yeah, I guess I was gonna say, like, you know, if I was gonna try and make the comparison there, but you're right. Like, the Switch 1 had a game that you could literally sink hundreds of hours into, where Mario Kart, it very much is like you play the single player mode once, and then that's kind of it with it, unless you're playing online or friends.
Yeah. Exactly. I think the other thing about Mario Kart is at face value, I think there might be some people looking at World who have played 8 and they're probably thinking something along the lines of like, I have that already, or I can already play Mario Kart on my Switch with Mario Kart 8. So that might disincentivize or de-incentivize, I don't know, someone getting a new Mario Kart, because it is still just Mario Kart.
Fair enough.
Where I think Breath of the Wild was like the first open world Zelda. I think we take for granted how kind of monumental that was at the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think the Breath of the Wild as a launch title for the Switch 1 was much stronger, even though Mario Kart 8 is a system seller and World is a system seller. Don't get me wrong. I think there's less. It feels like there's less of a rush or less of an incentive, maybe.
It seems like the conversion of like Switch 1 users, Switch 2 users is going to be a lot slower than when the Switch.
Yep.
Which is fair, because it is pretty much just an upgraded version. Which I think a lot of people did kind of predict this to be the case. And one, the cost is a huge factor. If the cost was a couple $100 cheaper, even $100, there'd probably be a significant amount of people that got this on launch.
Yep.
And then also, like,
even if the games themselves were cheaper, I think there would have been like a less rhetoric right now about how greedy Nintendo is if the price of the system was the same, but the games weren't US 80. If they stayed US 60, people I think would have been a bit more pro Nintendo right now. But still...
especially it's like, you know, in Canada paying over $600 for the system alone, and then even more for the games. Like, you know, I think earlier I made the comparison of like, oh well, that was like almost exactly what PS5 cost. But the games were not 100.
Yeah,
they're still not 110. I think the games are like 89, 99.
Yeah, I think US 70 is what the PlayStation 5 prices were in 2020. Yeah, but now I think like industry wide prices are going up. So yeah, Mario Kart for us is 110. DK is going to be 100. I mean, I just spent like a lot of money on this thing. So DK, as much as it looks cool, I fear not a priority. That's maybe going to be one that I get on sale eventually. So, with that said, the thing that I now plan to do with my Switch 2 is go back and play a bunch of Switch games that I didn't initially. Which Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey.
Wait, you didn't play it?
No. So this is embarrassing to admit. Tears of the Kingdom. A lot of them. I missed a lot of them because I'm a little too Pokemon pilled, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
So I want to do less Pokemon.
Well, look,
and go back and play those Switch 1 games.
You've got time until
basically ZA I think is the next Switch 2 game that
you're going to buy. Yeah, which is fair.
That's coming out in October.
That's October. So, I mean, hopefully I'll get my hands on a Switch 2 by then because I don't want to get the Switch. I want to get the Switch 2 version. But Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, with Switch Online, you get the upgrade.
That's true.
So you'll get to play the Switch 2 version. So I'm excited to hear what you're in.
I think I'm going to be streaming like all of this.
Amazing.
Over the summer.
Amazing.
Do a Switch 1, I don't know, Renaissance or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there you go.
Probably start with Odyssey.
Yeah. Odyssey was so much. I only recently played Odyssey. Like I finished it, last year. And it was a very good game.
I could feel people hearing me say that, and then instantly my gamer score just like a billion points. So I need to like rectify the situation.
Hey, look, I mean, it's all good. There's a bunch of games that people would probably, what, you've never played that? I mean, Odyssey was less recent. So
yeah. I feel like there's like a required reading list of video games that like Odyssey and both of the Zeldas are on. I need to like fill that hole in my life. Anyway, that's basically everything I've got on the Switch 2.
We want to do a little physical comparison here.
Yeah.
We've got a Switch 1 here.
I'll hold it just above. So it's bigger.
It's quite a bit bigger.
It's heavier, but it still feels pretty good in handheld mode. The screen, despite being LCD, looks phenomenal.
It's a huge screen. Like you wouldn't think it. Like it is like
yeah. But yeah, it's I think like if you're worried about it not being OLED or whatever, especially if you're used to an OLED Switch already, and then you're like, oh, the screen's gonna be so much worse. They're comparable. Yeah. I don't know how they did it. I guess like HDR, I don't know, but like,
and because like it's just a better resolution.
The resolution makes a big difference for sure.
Yada yada,
all that stuff. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's a Switch Pro. I think it feels like more genuine even to like call it a Switch Pro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's fair. Yeah, it seems like maybe the 8 years between the Switch and the Switch 2 should have just been like 4 years or something between the Switch and the Switch Pro, but here we are. It's the Switch 2. We've made it. I mean, I guess my goal will probably be to get it for ZA. And
that's in October.
That's October.
Oh.
Got a little bit of time. Yeah, getting that on. Great. But I mean, as sad as I am that I'm not an early adopter right now, because I got into this habit of being an early adopter for a lot of video game stuff the past couple of years, I'm also excited to like let the bugs get worked out and the firmware updates and whatever to happen before I get my hands on it, and then hopefully it's just a better experience. But there's something special about being a part of the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, something I'm still sort of interested to see if it happens, and I don't know that it will, because just anecdotally there was a pretty long line at the mall for the midnight launch, but the 3DS launched and it was overpriced, and a few months in they dropped it. So I'm still interested to see if if sales are not what Nintendo expects for this thing, if it receives a price drop, even like, I don't know, $50,
Yeah, true.
we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, well, that's the Switch 2.
Yeah, man.
Pretty exciting. Thanks for bringing it over.
Yeah.
Talking about it, telling us about your experience. We want to like quickly just kind of go over Summer Game Fest and all the things that have been going on there. And we had like Xbox stuff, and we had state of play things, and I don't even know because I didn't watch any.
Mhm.
There's a Reddit thread of all the stuff.
So the PlayStation State of Play, that happened before the Switch 2 came out. That happened before Summer Games Fest started. But as far as I know, I don't believe the State of Play had like a ton other than there's this new fighting game being made by the folks who make Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Sure.
And it is a Marvel versus Capcom new fighting game. That's fighting game folks are very excited about.
Right.
I don't have a horse in that race, so I'm happy for them. But yeah. Otherwise, I don't know that the State of Play had much else. I think Sony right now is like, if we want to maybe like bring like a console war lens back to it, Sony might be in like third place, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Sony's doing worse than Xbox?
I just think currently Xbox is maybe positioned a little bit better for games. Like I think
I just
okay.
I mean, maybe not in terms of upcoming game, but if you look at the list of currently released PS5 games that are at least like first released on the PS5 or like PS5 exclusive versus like Xbox. Xbox list is way smaller and not as impressive. I was even, honestly, the other day, I was like, me and Shai finished playing Baldur's Gate on the Xbox, which honestly, I mean, it ran fine, but we were playing split screen. It crashed quite a bit. But then I was like, I was going to play Starfield on the Xbox, and like Shai has Fallout and a couple other things that she wants to play there. But like, I was like, I don't need this. Like, I'm like, what if I traded the Xbox for the Switch too? And then Shai was like, Cassie, that was a gift for me. And I was like, oh yeah, right, okay, can't do that. Okay, which is fine. Not gonna do that, because there's still stuff that we want to play on there. But out of all of the because I mean, I mainly got it because I wanted Fable. Fable's not out yet. I am a gremlin. This is true. Fable's not out yet, and who knows when it's coming. And it seems like Xbox, and so many people say that there won't even be another Xbox console.
Well, Xbox announced a partnership with Republic of Gaming, aka ROG.
Asus.
They're making a Xbox handheld.
Could have seen that coming.
So they announced that the other day.
Okay, well, I missed that.
So, I think between that and I think Xbox I think is, but with Game Pass, and also I think they're gonna have maybe some indie exclusives. Which I think are gonna be like day one on Game Pass, and then a little bit later on like Switch and PlayStation, and maybe even also Steam. There might be some games that are day one on Game Pass and nothing else.
I forgot, but Game Pass does kind of win in terms.
Game Pass is like their lifeline right now. Like their I don't know, their heart thingy is going beep 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 beep.
It's their life
support. And Game Pass is stopping them from flatlining. But I think I don't know. It's early. I just feel like there might be a little bit of a shift happening.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, I didn't really look into this a whole lot. But yeah, maybe it will be good.
So Yeah, I didn't watch the state of play, but I just heard that this fighting game, this Marvel vs. Capcom, is very exciting for fighting game folks. So then the actual Summer Game Fest presentation, there was a lot of like pretty similar looking games. I was telling you before we started recording that there's a lot of games that seem to either cater to like a Call of Duty player or like a Dark Souls player.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were like, I could count on one hand the amount of games that looked like fun. Not to say that those games aren't fun for the people that they're made for, but like for, I don't know, for maybe a Nintendo fan, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a couple of games in there that seem neat. There's one, there's a new Scott Pilgrim game coming.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim EX. That is.
Co-op.
Yeah. It's just featuring Scott and Ramona. But it's going to be another like side-scrolling beat 'em up, similar to the existing Scott Pilgrim, but also like games like I can't think of any right now. Oh my god! Like any of the Ninja Turtle games that are like side-scrolling beat 'em ups. Maybe you played that old like Simpsons arcade game, or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any other examples. Streets of Rage, maybe. Anyway. So yeah, there's a new Scott Pilgrim coming. Otherwise, there's like a handful of other like cute looking games, that I don't remember the names of. There's one I think made by, there's another co-op game that I'm trying to remember. It might have been called like No Sound. It features like two characters and both of their mouths have been like erased, and so they can't talk to each other. But it's another like, it's like a side-scrolling like It Takes Two situation, or like A Way Out, or one of those games. Yeah, just like a co-op puzzle solving game. That looked cute, and in fact, there's a Lego game also that looked like in a similar vein to this. It looks like there are more games being made that are like these co-op puzzle platformers, basically.
Sweet.
Which is exciting.
Crazy hiccups right now.
Yeah, it's okay. So it felt like the only folks kind of really doing that were the people making It Takes Two, and now Split Fiction.
Yes.
That's the one. Lego Voyagers. Lego Voyagers was the like two-player co-op. Two-player
yes,
co-op is
Split
the same
Fiction
thing.
style.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, EA saw the success of It Takes Two and really Split Fiction, which me and Shia haven't played yet, and we're really excited to try it. Because we love It Takes Two, and so I think it's good that other companies are finally being like, oh, let's get back to making co-op games. And I love that they give the option, at least for in terms of It Takes Two and Split Fiction, where you can either do couch or that's what we need in more games. And I hope this Lego game will give that, because often Lego games do anything but.
Yeah. There's a new Sonic racing game, and I believe the gimmick with it is they're kind of doing a Fortnite where they're just, or like a Smash Brothers, where they're bringing in a bunch of characters from
Crossworld. So that's why it's called
Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Yeah, thank you. Featuring Hatsune Miku, Ichiban Kasuga from Like a Dragon / Yakuza, Joker from Persona 5, and Steve from Minecraft, among others. I've seen some leaks for this game, actually.
Oh, yeah.
A certain underwater sponge might be making an appearance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's interesting. Sonic Racing Transformed, I think. Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, I think is the full title. I think that was the last Sonic Racing game. And Sonic Racing games are like really good. I think they're the closest rival, I think, to Mario Kart.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think I've played another like character-based racing games besides Mario Kart.
Yeah,
but I always wonder how it.
There's some gimmicky, like there's Garfield Kart, there's like Nickelodeon Kart, there's
I've never played any of those. I'm always just like, why would I play those?
Yeah, and none of them are as good as Mario Kart. I think, except for Sonic Racing. Those ones are comparable. You know what? Crash Team Racing also is pretty good. Crash Team Racing is a hard racing game, in fact. It's like something that like is like difficult to like learn.
Yeah.
And but like has kind of a high skill ceiling for a mascot racer, I think is really interesting. So yeah, Crash Team Racing I would also sort of put in that group. Because Mario Kart's hard to, hard to kind of
it's on the top.
yeah, it's hard to compete with. But again, I think the Sonic racing games do. I think they keep up, if not surpass at points. Yeah.
Well, in terms of other stuff, we got announcement for Resident Evil 9.
Yeah, that was the
Requiem.
That was the one more thing at the end of Summer Game Fest was, and it was kind of a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley prefaced it with, this is a brand new game from a brand new studio, and had a bunch of other descriptors that were not Resident Evil as a rug pull.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then it ended up being Resident Evil 9, and the crowd lost their mind. It's very fun. I think the value to me in watching one of these presentations that has a live audience is the microphones on the audience, so you can hear the audience freak out like while you're also watching the trailer. Yeah, that makes it very fun.
Oh wait, new Game of Thrones game? Yep, that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, that looked neat.
New Ark game, new Hitman game.
Yeah,
bunch of things. Nothing that seems like it's really too exciting for me, but hopefully, I didn't know about the ROG Ally. I'll have Xbox Ally. Is that
ROG Xbox Ally? Yeah.
So it's basically just a reskinned. It looks a little bit different.
Yeah, it's more of a partnership. For sure, but it is still, I think, going to be like labeled as an Xbox console or an Xbox portable.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we kind of could see that coming. I think.
Yeah, and I think it's smart because I think people right now feel like RG Allies are maybe even better than a Steam Deck right now. I think like they have a bit more horsepower, can play some more demanding games that the Steam Deck can't. So it makes sense for the Xbox to brand it as such.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like caught my eye when the Ally first came out. Like, oh, like maybe that would be interesting. But yeah, I don't want just like a PC, a handheld. I'd rather it have proper, like a good like UI stuff. Not that, I mean, maybe it does, but cool. That's good to know. Oh, I'm looking at the state of play now. There's a new 007 game. Is this that?
That's the fighting game.
Cool. Silent Hill. F?
I don't know.
Final Fantasy Tactics. Interesting. Okay. Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Right.
Ghost of Yotai. Yeah, okay. There is some stuff. Stuff Astrobot.
So, yeah, there's a few things in the state of play, but nothing. Some cool stuff, but nothing, I don't know.
Nothing huge. And I mean, like, honestly, if you think about it, just to like kind of like wrap this up a bit, if you think about the lifespan of the PS5 since its launch in 2020 versus like the Xbox Series X and S since the beginning of PS5 era was very a lot of stuff to play, lots of things coming out. It seems like now the past year or so, it's really kind of I don't think we're at the end of it, but I think it is definitely in a different era.
Yeah. I mean, I think in a year or so, they're gonna announce the 6, which is kind of insane to think about because it feels like the 5 just happened.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. There was a whole pandemic, I guess, so that warped time. But yeah, you're right. It is. I guess I kind of take for granted that the 5 has been out for as long as it's been out. So you're right. They are probably like winding down and saving maybe their bigger releases for potentially PS6 launch at this point. But at least right now, just I don't know. I'm just sort of taking the temperature of the gamers. It feels like maybe Xbox is just gaining a little bit more favor.
Fair.
And Sony, I think, because of maybe the lack of releases, is sort of losing a little bit right now. And then Nintendo is both. Nintendo's weird. I think
it's a weird spot.
There are two camps. They're I don't know, maybe like staunch Nintendo fans.
I think there's 3 camps.
There's 3 camps?
I think there's the balling or trying to ball gamers that are just like, I'm getting the Switch 2 right away. I'm a hardcore Nintendo fan. Then there's like the I want the Switch 2, but it's not something you right now.
Okay, sure.
And then there's the I'm not getting to it. And
yeah, there are folks who are just like, no, Nintendo is being greedy right now.
Well, I mean,
and even if whether they want it or not, they're just like, no, like fuck this. There's like the corporation is like the corporation is being bad.
The fucking user license.
I didn't read it. Oops. Oopsie daisy.
So essentially, just to clarify it, I've heard that it pretty much says that if you do anything to modify the Switch 2,
right, they'll break the system.
Right.
Yeah.
And also basically saying you are buying essentially a license to own, and that is not actually yours. And that you will never own any of the games. Or I guess the system you own, but the games are all basically licenses.
Yeah. Hopefully there's no ramifications with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Right.
I guess a couple other things from the Xbox presentation. The folks who made Spiritfarer have a new game on the way.
Sweet.
That looks a bit more combat focused. It might be a Metroidvania. It might just be a 2D side scroller. But it's still like a focus on narrative, which is very cool. And Persona 4 is getting a remake. So, yeah.
I'm not huge into the Persona games, but I know a lot of people. I'll be excited.
I think those were 2 of the bigger things from the Xbox presentation. Oh, and I suppose it's probably worth mentioning that in the video for the Xbox ROG Ally featured new gameplay of Silksong. So the Silksong fans are eating good. They got another morsel and they're going to throw parties about it.
Of course.
So,
of course.
Happy for the Silksong folks. Still no release date for Silksong. That one, that one might be day 1 on Game Pass. And maybe not on other stuff. I think Xbox might pay Team Cherry a hefty sum to do that. Talk about exclusives.
Yeah.
Talk about buying the most anticipated indie game maybe of all time and having it first on your service and nothing else. People would be pissed. Xbox owners,
they would.
Xbox owners would be stoked.
But also PC owners.
Also.
Because that is the thing
PC
with Game Pass is
yeah.
that you do get it on PC as well, which is a huge market of gamers.
I don't foresee Team Cherry. I could see it being a console exclusive on Xbox and maybe like on Steam day 1. Because I have a feeling Team Cherry would be like, I don't know that we want to alienate everybody on Steam. Yeah. But I don't know if Xbox pays them enough money. I don't know. We'll see.
We shall see. All right. Well,
I think we did it.
I think we did that.
I think we did another episode of Frostbytes.
We did another episode of Frostbytes. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out and listening. We do this live whenever we do it, once a month-ish. Maybe more frequently soon, maybe less frequently. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what's going on in the world.
Mina the Hollower got a release date.
Oh,
I forgot.
When's that?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Halloween for Mina the Hollower.
That checks out. Look at that.
That's all. That's all the news.
That's all the news.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. You can follow us at Frostbytes Podcast on social media. You can watch the podcast on YouTube or listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, whatever. And yeah, we do this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/just_Kiyashi. Thank you again for listening, watching, hanging out.
Feel free to leave a review, by the by.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just watching on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. We love those.
And
a like. Also, feel free to subscribe. All the good YouTube stuff. But yeah, on your pod app of choice, feel free to leave a review. Rate 5 stars. We would love you forever. And yeah, thanks again for listening.
It helps us out a bunch. And
so much.
Just takes a couple minutes of your time, which we already appreciate your time for listening. I don't know. What's a few more?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.